to be, and that is humming along. So yesterday I spoke about the work that we're doing with housing, and I want to put all of this in a context. As many of you know, we're going to receive approximately $394 million from the federal government. That is scheduled to come in 2 allocations. We have received the first allocation, so roughly half of that $394 million. We received that in late May. We will begin receiving, or we will be eligible to begin receiving, the second half 1 year from the first date we received our initial allocation. So sometime in May of next year, depending on how we're doing in spending the first half of the allocation. The money that we've allocated so far has been approximately $3.8 million to summer youth employment. And that was with our great partner who is with us here today, Shaitania Brown from Employ Milwaukee. And this initiative that we launched for the summer youth employment was only the beginning, because without a doubt, workforce development and job readiness are 2 key challenges that we face here in the city of Milwaukee, particularly coming out of the pandemic. And it is for that reason that my Milwaukee Recovery and Resilience Plan will invest $13.8 million to promote job readiness and employment opportunities. This will be in addition to the $30 million that I am going to be promoting as of yesterday for housing, and we'll have more announcements in the coming days as the council begins deliberating this plan. Again, this plan that I'm putting forth right now, my Milwaukee Recovery and Resilience Plan, does not allocate the full $394 million, doesn't even allocate half of it, doesn't even allocate a quarter of it. But what we felt was really important was to identify those issues that are so pressing right now that we start working and get dollars into the community. So where did this all come from? This came from numerous conversations we've had with our community partners, with members of the Common Council, with others who are working in these areas. And without a doubt, job readiness and employment opportunities rose to the top, along with housing, as 2 of the most pressing issues that we want to address right now. So as I indicated, my plan uses funds from the Federal American Rescue Plan Act. The workforce efforts are part of my first phase of ARPA funding to be deployed in Milwaukee. And without a doubt, a key partner in the mayor's workforce plan is Employ Milwaukee. The goal of these investments is to connect unemployed and low-wage workers with family supporting jobs and career opportunities. That's what our goal is, and that's what we're hoping to achieve through the work that we're doing here. We know that too many residents of Milwaukee are not connected to jobs that pay well or have opportunities for advancement. With the Milwaukee Recovery and Repair Act, I propose a range of investments that prepares workers and connects them to jobs and careers. These efforts are important for our residents, and they're very important for Milwaukee's economy. The proposals funded in the plan include $6 million for the job training project, which will prioritize training for lead abatement certification. This will include high quality work experiences with connections to employers in in-demand fields. Lead abatement, without a doubt, is one of the major issues that we face as a community, whether it's our aging infrastructure, and we are hoping to get additional dollars from the federal government to deal with our aging infrastructure, more specifically to replace our lead laterals, but also in lead paint remediation.
Looks like the mayor may have frozen. Is everyone else seeing that? Okay.
Yes.
Great. 1 second here.
Lead abatement certification.
Mayor Barrett?
Yes.
You froze for a second there. Would you mind repeating your remarks?
Oh, sure. How far back do I need to go?
Maybe just a couple sentences back.
Okay, well, I'll go back because this is an important point worth making, I think, is the lead abatement issue is going to require basically a 2-step process. One is to make sure that we have the workers and the businesses to do the work. That's what this portion of the spending will do. And then second, to make sure that we get those lead abatement inspectors and others into the homes. But we can't do that until we have a large enough pool to do that. And that's why we're making this a high priority in our training. In addition, a skillful transition project will be funded with $3 million in the Recovery and Resilience Plan. Through Employ Milwaukee, participants between the age of 18 and 19 will have supported work experiences that offer knowledge building and translatable job skills. Why are we focusing here? We already have put $3.8 million into that 14 to 19 range, but we know there are a lot of young people in the city of Milwaukee who don't have jobs and who don't have the job skills. And so this portion of the funding is really going to be targeted to those people between 19 and 29. So we know where the challenge is, and this is why we want to put these resources there. An additional $2.7 million is designated in the mayor's plan for a Century City Clean Energy Jobs project that will take a strategic approach to connecting residents with jobs in energy, power, and controls industries and other related fields. Other projects in my plan include advancing technology employment opportunities and apprenticeships. The first phase of this Recovery and Resilience Plan will be reviewed by the Milwaukee Common Council over the next several weeks. Working with the council, as I stated earlier, we previously allocated more than $3 million for this summer's Earn and Learn youth job employment program. So what we've tried to do, and I think we've been successful, is we establish a policy requiring city departments to integrate explicit consideration of racial equity in all decision-making. Every portion of this plan has been viewed from a racial equity lens. Additional parts of the Milwaukee Recovery and Resilience Plan, including investments in safety and public health and early childhood, will be shared publicly in the coming days. So again, this has been as a result, this section of the plan has been as a result of a lot of work between us and Shaitania and her team. And I'd like to thank her and ask her to make a few comments as well. Shaitania Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. And as the Mayor mentioned, our goal was to put 1,500 young people to work this summer. And we have a number of young people who's out here working at various community agencies, as well as employers throughout the city, as well as the county. But Employ Milwaukee is excited and honored to have been asked to provide ARPA-funded workforce development initiatives for consideration by the Mayor and the Common Council. We see this as a historic opportunity to make impactful long-term change in our community by providing our residents with upskilling opportunities, wages, and enhanced support services that connect them to family supporting career pathways and fields that are looking for workers right now and jobs of the future. Historic inequities within our community have only been exacerbated during the pandemic, and therefore we need to think differently about this recovery. This recovery must be equitable, as the Mayor has mentioned, with a vision that ensures systematic transformation. It fosters community revitalization and provides individuals from all backgrounds with career and educational opportunities, as well as the supports they need to succeed. And that's a key there, the supports that they need to succeed. Through the ARPA workforce development initiatives that Employ Milwaukee has proposed, we can work together to reach this vision, as the Mayor stated, through lead abatement projects, connected to credentialed training and real career opportunities, wages to trainees, job seekers, and other workers that go directly back into our community, building wealth in our neighborhoods that have been disproportionately affected, skilled training programs in IT, financial services, and other high demand industries that provide real on-ramps to individuals looking to compete in the global job market. A focus on clean energy jobs, training and recruitment, including a career exploration hub in the heart of the city, Century City. Additional apprenticeship opportunities for both youth and adults, as the Mayor mentioned. We're looking at individuals between the ages of 18 and 29. Through those, they'll get paid work, and with employers that are ready to address opportunities around equity in our community. New virtual services that are accessible and supported by basic IT skills training, devices, and connectivity, so that nobody is left behind in the increasingly high-tech post-COVID economy. I've asked a couple of our partners, WRTP Big Step, Lindsay Bloomer, as well as MATC Laura Bray, to share a few words around the partnerships and the importance and need at this time.
Thank you, Shaitania. My name is Lindsay Bloomer. I'm the CEO and president at WRTP Big Step in Milwaukee. And, The programs and projects that we've proposed under the ARPA funding in partnership with Employ Milwaukee are innovative and scalable programs that take our expertise and that of our partners to connect residents to in-demand opportunities right now that our employer partners need, that they're asking us for. Even throughout 2020 at our training facility, we saw record numbers of people asking for training to whether it was to reskill or enter new job markets. We continue to provide that. And almost 2/3 of those individuals we saw during the pandemic identified as women and or people of color. Particularly in the trades, in manufacturing and construction here in Milwaukee, we make investments here in these trades. We will see the dividends for decades to come, whether it's through projects like the Couture or the Wisconsin Center expansion. We are going to have a great need for construction and manufacturing in our great city. The existing structures that we have in place in terms of training, in terms of job placement, apprenticeship, we're able to scale these and to leverage those so that we can get people employed and or trained and then placed and employed immediately. I look forward to talking about some of the great programs we've put forth, including CDL trainings, bolstering our park Wi-Fi access and initiatives within the city, even our creating an infrastructure maintenance apprenticeship so that people who are coming out of Youth Build and Compete Milwaukee, all of those have access to family sustaining wages. Thank you.
And I'm Laura Bray. I serve as the Vice President of College Advancement and External Communications, and also I'm on the board of Employ Milwaukee. So I would just want to thank Mayor Barrett and the City of Milwaukee and Employ Milwaukee for your dedication of ARPA funds to workforce development. As the mayor said, we all concur that this is extremely critical. And before the pandemic, every meeting like this, every town hall, every event that we had when we were talking about what needed to happen to move this region forward, we talked about a crossroads where employers spoke of a worker shortage and high demand skilled positions, while at the same time, our region is noted as one with huge income disparities and high unemployment, especially among people of color. And with the pandemic nearly behind us, or hopefully we're beginning to look more in the rearview mirror, this skills gap paradox absolutely remains. And one could say that it's even more profound after what's happened over the last 18 months, and certainly after a lot of inequities are just occurred in terms of individuals in our community. And at the core of the mission and the purpose of Milwaukee Area Technical College, that we exist to address this paradox. We work to uplift people living in poverty and to train workers for the jobs that need specific skills in our communities and to support employers and companies to grow. And MATC is a proud partner of Employ Milwaukee and WRTP Big Step and hundreds of local employers. And we work tirelessly with students to prepare them for careers that pay a sustainable wage and prepare them for advancement. And so this partnership will allow us to even do more of that critical work. And Shaitania talked about credentialing as being such an important goal. And that is so key for the skills gap. When we look at our communities, in the state, 62% of the jobs require a degree beyond high school, but in Milwaukee County, only 37 individuals have a degree beyond high school, 37%. So we will build off of the foundation of these collaborations. And one of the things we'll build on is what's called stackable credentials. We'll be able to get someone CDL training, and then they'll be able to get to the next thing and maybe enroll in our truck driving program, which can get them an even better paying job. We're trying to work as a system that we're not just trying to get someone a job, but a career path that gets them employed and starts to work to really address the issues of upward mobility. We're going to be specifically looking to expanding an example that Employ Milwaukee and MATC have worked on with several local employers, including Northwestern Mutual and Kohl's and others. That's an IT boot camp. And for the last several years, we have partnered to train workers in the information technology field and give them a credential where they're able to really, when they complete this credential, participants earn the pre-apprenticeship service center technician certificate. And to date, we've already graduated more than 100 students, and we have 23 students right now in progress toward that. We're going to be able to grow and give more access to people to have those kind of trainings. Maybe software developer. There's a artificial intelligence badge we're working on in partnership with a higher education regional alliance, and even cooperative education models where students work and go to school at the same time. And we have a network system where MATC and Employment Milwaukee and others are working with area employers. Finally, I think that the pandemic may get people interested in fields in a different way. We have seen people come into healthcare fields because they saw the power of what it means to work alongside people that are struggling during the pandemic, and it interests them. People are taking another look at building systems. Our buildings that had stronger HVAC systems were able to be more resilient. And people are like, huh, that's a field? You mean I could be a part of keeping a building healthy? And that field is HVAC? I never thought of that. So part of this is really opening people's eyes to probably new positions that are even more critical at our time to be resilient through this time. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Laura, and thank you, Lindsay, and thank you, Shaitania. So as you can see, we're really taking an expansive view, but a view that's really laced with urgency, because we will have an opportunity later this year and in the following years to use more of these ARPA funds. But what was paramount to me right now was to find those programs in those areas where we needed to get the dollars flowing as quickly as possible. And as I mentioned yesterday, housing is certainly at the top of that list. Workforce development and workforce readiness is also at the top of that list. And during the coming days, we'll share with you more areas where we are prioritizing the first spending, not all the spending, but the first spending from the ARPA dollars. And if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer any questions. Maybe we can put them in the chat box. And just to be clear, this money can't be allocated until the Common Council approves the plan. That is correct. So last week we opened the file in title only. We will begin filling the file this week. There'll be hearings. And so obviously we're going to be asking the Common Council members to be supporting this plan as well. Can you expand upon the Century City Clean Energy Jobs Program? What will that entail? We will get more details for you about that. We'll set up, Sean in particular, we'll set up something directly with Eric Schamberger with you on that. But again, we see this as an area where we want to have more opportunities for people to have jobs in an area, a field that we think is growing. We're also prioritizing, and this is something I talked about yesterday, putting dollars into programs to have homes lower their energy bills, in particular focusing on the central city because of our focus on equity and inclusion. That's something. So I think given your interest in this area, we'll set up something specifically for you to talk to Eric about that. All right. Well, again, thank you all very much. And there'll be more. Oops, speaking of ARPA funds, are there any plans in the works to use some of them filling the gap in transportation funding, since the state budget made a 50% cut to Milwaukee mass transit system? I have joined the county executive and others in asking Governor Evers to allocate part of the state ARPA funds to fill that gap that's been created by the action of the Republican legislators. I will point this out because I think this bears repeating as well. When the Republican-led Joint Finance Committee cut the funding for transportation, it did not cut the ARPA funding for every transit system in the state. In fact, it only cut the funding for two transit systems, the Madison transit system and the Milwaukee County transit system. It left intact the ARPA funding for all other transit systems. To me, it was a blatant political attack on Milwaukee and Madison. The governor, of course, has at his disposal or under his control a significant allocation of state ARPA dollars. And we believe that is the most appropriate place, as does the county, to rectify this mistake. This is from Marty Mickelson. Employers say they are having a hard time finding people to work. Do you think this will fall victim to that? No, I don't think this will fall victim to that. I think we're going to see very, very quickly more and more people wanting to get back into the workforce. And I'm very optimistic that we are going to be able to meet the demand that is out there, that people will come to us. So I think that it's a temporary problem we're facing in some areas, in particular in the hospitality field. I think some of that will be rectified as we get to the autumn months, but I remain optimistic that we'll be successful here. Do you think the city, let's stick with ARPA for now. I can answer other questions later. This is from Madeline Fox, everyone. To add to the above from Emily, one of the issues in the workforce development is the first mile, last mile problem to get you jobs. Will transit expansion to get to jobs like Coles, for example, be part of the workforce plans as you work on future ARPA funding priorities? We will continue to work with the county. Obviously, the transit system is under the county, but we work with the county to make sure that we are letting them know what our desires as well. But I have a lot of confidence in the county executive and the staff at the Milwaukee County Transit System to identify those areas and those employers that are right for transit expansion. And then very briefly, I remain, as I've done throughout this entire matter with Chief Morales, it's a pending legal matter. I have not commented on it, and I will comment on it one way or the other when we have reached an appropriate point. All right, well, again, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Shaitanya. Thank you, Laura, and thank you, Lindsay. And we look forward to hearing more from the public in support of this proposal. Have a great day, everybody.